Is having a good Wednesday. I am Ashley Lawal. I am the curator of the MinTech Lived Experiences series, and we're so super excited to have you today. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of Lauren and pre-Kanye. So yes, I hope everyone is having a a good one. So this talk is all about our tech story, and we have some amazing panelists that are going to be sharing their tech story today. And I am actually going to be turning it over to our moderator. I just wanted to briefly do a few housekeeping rules, and I will be turning it over to Miss Holly Rachel, who is going to be leading us and just having a real conversation today. And so we're super pumped about it. So just to let you know, this talk series was created to really bring awareness to MinTech Agency and the vision of our CEO, Karen Williams. She is all about helping to elevate people of color in tech into roles that allow them to thrive. And so that's what MinTech is about. We are a staffing and recruiting agency based out of Nashville, Tennessee, but we can recruit and staff anywhere. And so this series is really about showcasing that through the panelists that we have. And so today we have panelists all across the country that are coming here and just sitting and chatting with you guys for a little bit. So if you have not checked out MinTech, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter by visiting mintechagency.com. You can also follow us on all the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn. And again, our handle is at MinTech Agency. And I would definitely suggest you also register for our upcoming talks. We have actually 2 more after this, so make sure to do that. It's every Wednesday at 12 noon. So our next talk will actually be on entrepreneurship. So I will now kick it over to Holly Rachel. She is the owner of Rachel and Winfrey, which is a data consulting firm here in Nashville. She also has an amazing podcast called Data Tea that she hosts with her co-founder Lena. And we're so super excited to have you. Thank you again, Holly, for being a part. And I will kick it on over to you. And again, welcome to everyone again. So thank you.
Hey, thank you, Ashley. Hi to all of our panelists and our participants as well. Thank you for, coming. I'm super excited to be discussing with you all your journeys in tech. This is an awesome panel. I did a little bit of research on each one of you, so I'm very excited to talk to you and learn more. We're gonna let each of you introduce yourself a little bit. I'll go through your name and your title, but then after that, you all please let us know any tidbits that you want to share about, who you are and maybe what your background is or whatever you'd like to share. So let's start first with Miss Renee Reed. Hi.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon,
Good
depending on when
afternoon. Good afternoon.
you're dialing in from.
Miss Renee Reed is a UX design researcher at LinkedIn. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and being a panelist. Would you tell us a little bit more about your role and about yourself?
Sure. So yeah, I am a design researcher here at LinkedIn. So I work with product owners, engineers, data scientists, and designers and fellow researchers to really help bring our user experiences, our member experiences to life on our desktop and mobile platform. I just moved here not too long ago, well, almost 4 years now, from Atlanta. So that's where I started my career in UX. So I was on the East Coast for a while, graduate from an HBCU, proud graduate of an HBCU. And I always like to let people know that HBC representation is definitely here in Silicon Valley. And keeping that really quick, I have a senior at Howard as well. So sheltering in place and finishing out senior year. So shout out to all my Howard HU parents and students.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're excited to talk to you. Thank you for being a part. Next, we'll talk to Ms. Shayna Vinson. She is Chief of Staff to the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Lockheed Martin. Hi, Shayna. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. And again, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Shayna Vinson, and I have been with Lockheed Martin for 11 years. My role currently today is the chief of staff to our chief diversity officer, and I'm responsible for managing our day-to-day operations, in addition to ensuring that we are linking our D&I strategy to our overarching Lockheed Martin and people strategy. I've had the opportunity to work in a variety of HR capacities over my career with Lockheed, and I have been in DC now for about 5 years. And Renee, I lived in Atlanta for some time, so we have some connection there as well. I am an HBCU grad from Tennessee State University. I'm proud to be from Nashville, Tennessee, which is another reason why I'm just so excited to be here today and joining this conversation. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Shayna. Next, we have Justin E. Samuels. He is a senior software engineer at MailChimp and founder and CEO of Render Atlanta. Hi, Justin.
Hey, how y'all doing today? I'm so happy to be here. So, like she said, my name is Justin. I'm an engineer at a company here called MailChimp, aka what they call the Google of the South, because it's like crazy. But I've been there almost a whole year. But I also organize a conference called Render ATL, where it's actually the largest Black-owned engineering conference on the East Coast. So I do that, and then I also organize a business called Rebuild Black Business, where we catalog and index over 15,000 Black-owned businesses, so that then you could go and help support these businesses and just try to engage with them, so that you could not just help them survive, but also thrive. Other than that, I'm just a real busy person, but I always like to find things like this to come to, so I can like help inspire the next generation. I'm also here in ATL, currently in ATL. So shout out to everybody else that came through here. But yeah, happy to be here today.
Thank you, Justin. All right, and last but not least, we have Miss Erica Beatty. She is the Chief Data Officer at Analogics. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Holly. We must connect, fellow data person.
I know, right?
So good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I am Erica Beatty. I am the founder, CDO, CTO of Analogics. We are a boutique agency focused on data management as a service. We target online as well as SaaS-based businesses. So essentially what we do, we help companies wrangle their data and turn that data into information. In addition to serving in that role, I also have a data brand called When Data Gives You Lemons. And so it's just a curated content of all things pertaining to data, data strategy, governance, architecture, analysis, what have you. It's just a curated list of the latest trends in data with a touch of SaaS, my personality involved. So I'm glad to be a part of this. Thanks.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Erica. And I apologize for not including that you are the founder of Analogics. I really apologize for that. That's awesome. Thank you all for being here and for doing your introductions, letting everyone know, a little bit about you and where you're from. We'll get started with our first kind of question. This is a very conversational, it's not super formal. Y'all don't have to, worry about like what's she gonna ask next? It's gonna be very, very casual, very conversational. For all of our attendees, you can feel free to add questions in the chat, and I'll be monitoring that so that maybe we can answer some of them as we talk. And there also will be a Q&A portion at the end. So you can either answer your questions now, or you can save them till the end for the Q&A segment, okay? So first of all, we want to hear from our panelists. What inspired you to, I guess we'll say, embark on your current path in tech, whether it be starting your business, whether it be, going to your particular company or starting in the field that you are currently in, what was that kind of drive that made you want to move in that direction? We'll start with Shayna first.
Thank you, Holly. So it's a really great question, and I've found myself, being a part of this conversation and not being a traditional tech person. I work for a tech company, and one of the things that truly inspired me to work for Lockheed Martin was truly the mission. And when I think about the work that we do, which is truly focused on keeping the world and keeping people safe, that's been one of the biggest drivers that's inspired me to work at Lockheed Martin and has continued to keep me at Lockheed. Lockheed Martin is a huge technology company, as most of you may be familiar with. And when I think about innovation and when I think about new ideas, those are the type of things that keep me excited and keep me inspired to continue the work that I do from an HR perspective, bringing in talent to the organization and ensuring that we've got the right framework to ensure that people are happy, that they can bring themselves to the workplace, and that they're happy doing what they do. So that's what's inspired me, and that's what's kept me for the past 11 years.
Thank you for that. Okay, let's go to Miss Renee Reed. What inspired you on your current path in tech?
Yeah, prior to becoming a UX researcher, I was actually in, customer success. And it wasn't called that at the time. It was like client support specialist or something like that. And I had done that for several years. And I just realized as I looked at like my career trajectory, in order to become a manager or something else, someone would have to have like left the company or just fell out. And that wasn't gonna happen. So I started to look at ways to pivot. First within my role, and what I started doing was becoming really ingrained in the HTML and CSS of our products and system. We were a SaaS company as well. So software as a service company. I don't want to just throw out acronyms and not let the people know where they are. So within my role, I started learning about HTML and CSS, and front-end engineering was actually on the path to do more front-end engineering. And it was in that quest that I came across user experience and human-computer interaction. And it just blew my mind. I had a degree, in public relations and marketing. And I saw where my market research experience could translate into user experience, surveys, understanding trends, and things like that. And it just took off. And not knowing what I was going to do internally, it just so happened, the good Lord was shining upon me. And we actually started an internal user experience team. So I was able to pivot within the company, even before even realizing that that was the path that I was going to start doing, and then just dug my heels into becoming a subject matter expert in the field, and just started getting reached out by recruiters from all over the United States, different companies, and then started doing some interviews with several Silicon Valley companies. And then once I got the LinkedIn interview, and the rest is history, and here I am.
Very nice. Thank you, Renee. I think probably some of our attendees will be wanting to know about that whole transition from subject matter expert to recruiters reaching out to you. Like we want to know, how do you get to that part, right? Okay, Miss Erica Beatty, what inspired you to found Analogics and embark on your journey in tech?
Well, I'll try to keep this story short. At first, I thought I wanted to be a network engineer, and I did an internship and realized that's not what I wanted to do. And it was going into my senior year of college. I'm like, I know I don't want to do that area of tech. And I had to take a database management course. And the second day of class, I knew this is what I wanted to do. It just clicked for me. Even so, many years later, I still have my original notes that are in pristine condition that I still reference to this day. My professor was a DBA at Home Depot, and he didn't teach from a book. It was all firsthand industry experience. And so I worked at various companies serving in different capacities. And then I realized the further I worked my way up career-wise, there was less people who looked like me. And my role or my goal is to ensure that we have a seat at the table, and that we as African Americans and as well as women are represented. And so with me doing analogics, I realized that, consultants would come in and work with companies, but they were shortchanging them, in my opinion, on the best approach when it comes to understanding their data, ensuring a sound strategy is implemented, and the company is set up for success to support themselves, right? I don't want to go in and be with an organization long term. I want you to be self-sufficient so we can move to the next project. So that's an entirely separate story, but I'm doing this because I want to make sure that other people that look like me realize that you can attain success in technology. You just have to be dedicated to the cause, know what you want, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay.
Absolutely. I love that, Erica. Thank you. All right, Justin, what about you? What kind of sparked your interest in tech, and what got you started on your journey, your current journey?
Yeah, so just to be completely honest and just to the point, cash, money, a lot of people like to act like it ain't about the cash. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I went to school at Mississippi State University, so a proud SEC graduate. We have a computer science program and a business information systems program. I did my bachelor's in business information systems, and I got a minor in computer science because that's the perfect blend between an entrepreneur and a computer scientist, where I could talk to you all day about business processes and how to balance a balance sheet, how to get your money into the stock market and do all those kind of things. But I also wanted to balance it to where I'm able to do things like a magician. Like I could build cool things each and every single day. And there isn't a time in history where there hasn't been some kind of gold rush going on. So the gold rush of our generation is honestly tech. So I was like, I can make a whole lot of money very quickly, and I actually am really good at this. Not to say I didn't have to try as hard or study as hard. I mean, there was a whole lot of like long nights until 5 a.m. in school, but it just clicked for the most part, which is why I was able to move up so quickly. So compound that with, how much you get paid at a young age, it was a no-brainer to just be like, yeah, why not? I could either follow a passion of, I like to eat and I wanted to do culinary school, but I mean, that wasn't gonna pay the bills. But I could do this and I could make my own food on the side and buy the good food too. Yes. So yeah, that's how.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate the candor there. I think that that's very important because especially as we as minorities kind of seek stability and seek financial freedom, I think that a lot of people are starting to think about, I see this tech industry is really, really growing. How can I fit into that space? With that in mind, going into this industry, how has that had a positive impact on each of your lives? How have you seen your life improve since you've, whether it be starting the business, Erica, or since it's, moving into tech, how have you seen, your life currently improve? And Erica, we'll let you start first.
Yeah, so like Justin, when I realized the money that could be made, my life changed drastically. I realized the more that I put in, the more I got out of it. The harder I work, the more knowledge I acquired. When I came to the table, I had something to back it up. And so working in tech has really afforded me the opportunity to have the life that I dreamed of as a child, but it's also given me an opportunity to give back. I don't think I would probably work in any other industry than what I'm doing because I'm passionate. I love what I do. I enjoy working with data. And if I have an opportunity to bring somebody along with me, I'm going to do that. Starting my business has allowed me to have the flexibility and the freedom to explore things at my pace. No longer do I have to check in with someone else to validate my ideas and opinions. My ideas and opinions are respected because you're hiring me to help you solve your problem. And so with that, there's a different level of respect, but also at the same time, as I mentioned, it's affording me the opportunity to meet different people. I think given the climate of society today, we don't get a chance to really bridge that gap and have those conversations with people who do not necessarily look like us. And in tech, you definitely get that opportunity. And as you go up the ladder, you are put in positions where you get an opportunity to, I guess, represent your race, if you will, and show that there's a different perspective and a different outlook. So it's given me an opportunity to earn money, given me an opportunity to give back, and given me an opportunity to educate.
Thank you, Erica. Okay, Miss Renee, what about you? How has your life been changed since going into tech?
Yeah, I will echo the sentiment around the financial and monetary gain for sure. I, for a long time, had always wanted to pursue my master's right out of undergrad when I first got into industry, and several different factors, motherhood, family life, just didn't allow me to do that, and financially, of course. But since being in tech, what it's allowed me to do is gain this financial um, advancement where I was able to get my master's debt free. I've been able to send my daughter through college with little to no debt because of what I've been able to provide. So that monetary gain is, you know, we're not going to skate by that. So thank you, Justin, for uh, releasing us and getting us started on that conversation for sure. I've also just been able to thrive in a whole different way in this space. I think earlier on in my career, I was, you know, a little bit timid, made myself small because of all of the things that you hear about, you know, don't be too Black, don't be too this. And in this tech space, when I saw just how everyone else was a lot more freer than I was because I was getting caught up in what I shouldn't be, I really just started like coming out and just saying, listen, this is me. This is all of me. I get to be my unapologetic self. I get to bring my whole self and authentically. And I've just been able to thrive in my profession as a subject matter expert in my field. That has allowed me the space where I'm able to do talking engagements, international speaker now. I'm being asked to speak at different events on the regular. I actually say no more often than I say yes because I'm hit up so much time, so much. And part of that is because of that freedom to operate as my authentic self and with this drive and passion in this space, being out here in Silicon Valley where it is, you know, a very innovative, everyone's just trying to be the next big thing. There is this excitement to be in this tech space of wanting to do things better, quicker, faster, bigger that I wasn't necessarily privy to in other spaces. So this idea of anything is possible has really illuminated in my career, and it's just allowed me to, like I said, thrive in spaces and places that I wouldn't normally do.
Thank you, Renee. All right, Justin, how has this changed your life? I mean, you kind of already hit on it a little bit, but since getting into the field, are there anything that you hadn't already kind of discussed that you feel like really impacted your life?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think everybody already hit on everything. So I'm just gonna be quick, and I'm just gonna say, like, as you go up, so does your bank account go up. But not just your bank account, so does your eyes begin to open, and you begin to see the world from a whole different point of view. I mean, kind of like what Renee said. Thanks for breaking that like silence of like talking about money, because we don't have to talk about money. But when you start talking about how the other side lives, where the people who got the money, then you start to see things truly for like what they are. So being in tech has exposed me to a whole different world of like what the 1% does. I'm not saying I'm in the 1% at all, but having been in those type of like rooms that you usually don't even get into, just because they want to see who is the software engineer that's like making all of these waves, who's doing all of this. It has truly opened my eyes to what life could be like. So I think everybody already sums it up though.
Cool. Thank you, Justin. And Shayna, what about you? Since I guess being at Lockheed Martin and being in the tech field, because even though you are, you're saying, okay, my background is in HR, and that's really kind of the department I work in. I mean, I feel like if it's in a tech company, you're in that kind of tech environment, and so therefore I personally consider it a tech job. But how do you feel that that has changed your life being in that particular industry?
So, again, I will echo what everyone said. From a financial perspective, it is amazing. It's given me so much opportunity just to learn so much that I didn't know before. My background is not in technology. My background is in psychology, and I, pursued my master's in HR development. But working in this industry, we've got 110,000 employees, and just getting an opportunity to learn new things every single day. But on top of that, what really inspires me, and especially in the role that I'm in right now, is the diversity space. And when we think about talent, when we think about students who are graduating, the majority of students who are graduating with these STEM degrees, they're not going into technology fields. And so when you think about even from HBCU graduates, they're producing the majority of those that are graduating with STEM, but Blacks and Hispanics only represent maybe about 5% in all STEM fields. And so when I think about the opportunity that I have and the platform I have to speak with students, to speak with experienced professionals about the tech industry, and really it is up to you to define your path. It's there, and I think opportunities like this to share our stories really just helps to build the next generation of talent. And I think sometimes people miss this open opportunity to really just come into tech. There's so many different fields of tech. It's not just one area, and so many different places where you can learn. So that's what inspires me to continue to have people coming up behind who look like me and are inspired to do this sort of work.
I agree with that. The whole diversity and inclusion piece is a really big piece because number one, I mean, that's why we're all where we're at. We are contributing to the increase of diversity and inclusion in the tech space. We still have a long way to go, but we're taking steps and we're moving forward. That's a reason why MinTech Agency exists, to increase that diversity. Nashville especially the tech community in Nashville has been trying to think of ways of how can we make the tech community look like what the citizens of Nashville look like. How can we translate that diversity into the tech industry and into our tech companies that are moving into Nashville or that are kind of sprouting up in Nashville. So for you all, how important do you feel that it is to kind of showcase minority talent in tech? And what are some ways that you are currently working, or some ideas that you have about how to increase that? What do you all think is kind of the biggest factor in really increasing the diversity and inclusion in tech and making it a lasting change? Let's start with Shayna.
So I figured you'd probably start with me since you brought up the diversity and inclusion. But I think it's important. I think a big piece of it is branding. And so when we think about branding and who we are, that's a large piece of what attracts people, right? To you, whether that's potential candidates or even potential employers. And so as many connections as you can build in that space, I think it's key. I think it's important. Another piece that I think it's important as well is really reaching back to those that are maybe in high school, college, and having sessions like this where they have an opportunity to learn about the different opportunities within tech itself. Because when you really think about tech and where it's going over the next 10 years, there are going to be about 1 million or so more tech jobs. A lot of those are going to be in Silicon Valley, but a lot of those are also just spread out across the country. And so because of that, I think there's so much opportunity to brand, to discuss, to share all of the different type of roles where you can be successful in technology.
I agree with that. What about you, Erica? What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I had to get to the mute button. I will say get into the schools early. Start a mentoring program. If you have kids, start at your kids' school. Start a program there. In church, start a program at your church. Start early so they can see people like us early on. So when they get to high school, they can say, wait a minute, I remember, this program at my school. I remember my program from church or what have you that shaped and molded me, right? And gave me an opportunity to see other people that look like me in this tech space. If you're already in the tech space, blog. I'm pot calling the kettle black, but blog, blog, put your face out there. And don't be afraid to reach out and partner with other companies for sponsorship opportunities to get yourself featured. Write for a couple of the tech magazines that are in your space. So there's so much that we can do to get our faces out there so others can look at us and be inspired. And if you are in a position to bring someone up, and I've done this, it's important when I was interviewing that I have a diverse candidate pool. I don't want to see the same type of person. And I made it and I could have been an HR violation. I didn't care. It was my job because I was in a position, I had a platform to bring somebody on. And it was my mission. Work with HR, set out, this is my criteria, this is who I want. So if you have a platform and you are in a position to bring somebody along, definitely do that.
I agree. I like what you said about, writing for magazines and making yourself visible if you are a minority in tech, because sometimes people are like, well, where is the minority talent? We can't find it. And it's not that it's not there, because I know plenty of very talented minority tech candidates, but it may be an issue of the visibility. And sometimes we have to go out and look for it ourselves and say, how can I, put myself out there? How can I be more visible to people who are thinking about going into tech or who are looking to move around in the tech industry, that may be looking for someone to kind of reference, someone to kind of look up to, someone to, kind of follow and have some representation in their personal journeys. Okay.
Holly, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Renee, what about you? What do you feel is a really important factor in bringing more representation of minorities to the tech industry?
Yeah, I think Erica and Shayna have definitely touched on it, and reaching back and making sure that we're diversifying candidate pools for sure. We're starting early. I think someone in the comments, Letitia, mentioned something about representation, that early access to the tech space and getting students the visibility into the possibilities. I was a first generation college student, so a lot of the things and graduate I had to navigate and figure out myself. because I didn't have that representation in my family and in kind of my circles at the time. So, you know, it was later on in my career that I finally made that transition. But schools, especially, I think there needs to be better connections with curriculums. Academia needs to do, HBCUs need to probably refresh some curriculum to make sure that they're up to par with what's happening with industry, but that's also a responsibility of industry to reach back to make sure that they are bringing schools along, you know, the journey. And like I said, those candidate polls are so important. There are over 100 different HBCUs, 100. And a lot of times you hear about, you know, just the top 5, you know, as a Howard University mother, I'm always hearing about Howard, of course, receiving donations, money, and things like that. But there are other schools that need the support from industries, from individuals, to help, again, bring that exposure and bring those candidate polls, challenging hiring practices. If companies are only hiring from one type of program, from one type of school, you're going to get an echo chamber of ideas and people and just cookie cutter. So where does that come from in terms of diversifying? So it's a lot of moving parts. I think it's different responsibilities that everyone has, from community to academia to industry, but we all need to make sure that we're doing our part to give people access and opportunity to the space.
Thank you, Renee. I totally agree. I like what you and Erica also said about getting started early with younger children and kind of, you know, exposing them to the tech industry, because I know there was a study that was done that kind of showed that up until about 5th grade, boys and girls were equally interested in STEM and computer science. But then once you hit about 5th grade, the girls kind of started dropping out. And so I think, like you said, if you only focus on high school, you've already lost the 5th grade girls. Like they're gone now. So you know, starting really, really early, I think can definitely help. One quick thing to attendees: when you want to, if you would like to put questions in the chat, please make sure that you turn in your questions. If they're to a particular panelist, you can just choose all panelists. But if it's a comment that you want everyone to see, please choose panelists and attendees so we can all read it. Okay, Justin, your turn. How important do you feel that representation is for tech? I mean, I feel like obviously we all feel that it is of the utmost importance. And also, what are your thoughts about how we can improve?
So I think everybody hit the nail on the head, but the thing I want to stress to people on the way that we could improve is by going from a help me mentality to a ownership mentality. Too often do I see people that are great candidates and just honestly could like kill it at their own company, but they are standing outside the door of like a Microsoft or a Google asking for a chance. Now, I'm not trying to say that I wouldn't love to work there. I mean, who doesn't want to work at a bank, a company? But ultimately, I understand that they have their ideal candidate. They have things that they are gonna look for in a good candidate. But that doesn't undermine what I can do and the abilities that I could bring anyone. So I see people often say things like, I couldn't get a job at a major company, so I decided to quit. But in actuality, they were just as good as me. So I want us to try to shift out of that. I need to get a job working for somebody else, and I could just do it on my own. Now, don't get me wrong. Entrepreneurship's not for everybody, but either way it goes, let's try to diversify not just who's in the workplace, but at the places that we are of applying to. And like what everybody else mentioned, own your own brand. Because ultimately, if you learn how to own your own brand, you could control the narrative that's being talked about when it comes to you. It's a tiny bit costly, but well, I will say it's costly in both time and in money to truly own your own brand. But the payoff is that people will only respect you more because they understand that they can't get over on you, that you understand what it is that you are trying to look for and what you are going to take from that a company or that organization. So, and just even small stuff, like I was looking in my bag, I made my own business cards. So when I go visit a, person, you know, they know who it is. Even got like little stickers too, you know. And some people laugh like, "Wow, you truly branded the name Doug Debugger." But I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, companies are now paying me just to come talk about that name. So, own your brand, and you could pretty much write your own check. But at the same time, you could bring other people in too, and that's when you gotta like reach back, do events like this, and then tell other people own your brand and do your own thing.
Thank you, Justin. I wanted to, while we were talking about branding, making ourselves more visible, we have one question from the chat, the attendees. This is specifically for Renee, and then so we'll let Renee answer first, and then if we have any other comments or things to add, then we can do that. Since you are at LinkedIn, Renee, how can LinkedIn be better utilized for branding and representation and being more visible?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, and so many different ways, but I'll say that LinkedIn can be leveraged as a space where you can really hone into your professional trajectory and how you want your career to go. So, posting, as Erica said, like, blogging, but if you just start with posts, if you just let people understand kind of, who you are, how you think about the industry, you can do several different things. You can write articles on LinkedIn. You can build your network for sure of where you are today, where you want to go, and really create this community of people who will listen, dialogue with you. And that's how a lot of my speaking engagements and things come from, because they see the content that I'm putting out, whether it's diversity, inclusion, and equity information, whether it's just about representation in the tech space. So you can create your narrative, you can control that and put that out, and then have an audience and a network who will respond. So LinkedIn is definitely a place. We've got people now. We've got live events. You can create your own live events. You can post videos. So lots of creative ways where you can create that brand and get yourself out there as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert, as someone in the space, and allow yourself time, right? You're not just going to jump out there and then have 10,000 people like start viewing stuff, or maybe I've seen that as well, but just keep at it. I've seen students who have posted about just getting into college or getting a job or things like that, and the community response on LinkedIn has been incredible, especially during this pandemic. People have really put pride aside, and they've realized the power of a network and creating a brand and having that connectivity. And you're just starting to see people be even more authentic on LinkedIn. So definitely a platform worth using, not just because I'm working there, but I was using it before, but I've seen the value. I've gotten my positions through LinkedIn just from creating a presence.
Thank you, Renee. Does anyone else have, either Shayna, Erica, or Justin, do you all, let me ask this. Has LinkedIn been a large part of your visibility and your branding efforts, or do you have any specific tips that you could kind of offer our attendees about kind of how to get themselves out there utilizing LinkedIn? Or actually any other platform as well that you find helpful.
So I'll take this one because I'm always talking about this. So I highly, highly, highly utilize Twitter. That's where I got my Doug Debugger username from. Twitter is also the place where I got in all my jobs from. I highly hate LinkedIn. Please don't kill me, sis. But I highly hate the platform because it's too good, meaning that since my like profile is all done, since my, I'm always, posting on there and things like that, I'm always getting hit up by recruiters every single waking moment. And I was an early adopter. I'm talking like when the thing first came out, I was just on there just like playing. So I have my profile buttoned down, but I get a in mail every waking moment of the day. And I'm like, look, guys, like, leave me be. But with that being said, I highly do recommend making sure that your digital presence is good, even making your own little personal website. I hate when I hear people say, I don't have time to. Well, I don't have time to make a website either. So I took the easy route and I made what's called a link tree. And on the and then on the link tree, it just has like my speaking engagements, like the what I'm at now. It has the publications I've done, and it has other projects that I'm on. If you truly want to like own your brand and take it one step further and put on the evil genius hat, you can make ads too to truly sell who you are. So if you ever visit my a website, I have what's called a Facebook pixel, and anybody that comes to my website, I'm just grabbing data off of you, and then I'm building ads to then target people who also share the same interests as you. So now when you're on like Facebook or on Instagram, you're gonna see either the conference I own or any other various projects or my own personal site. And now that's truly how you go from help me to ownership. That's how I'm always in a recruiter's mouth being talked about because they always see my ads or they see me on the social. So yeah, um, definitely try to own yourself and own your data.
Agreed, Justin. Thank you. Erica or Shayna, anything to add to the discussion about visibility and branding?
I mean, it's all has been said. I mean, Justin has pretty much gave you what your digital marketing strategy should be to put yourself out there. So, but I am probably not the best person to ask because I'm just starting that myself. Now I know the technicalities behind it. I know about the Facebook pixel. I can do it for everybody else. I just need to do it for myself. And so, just to echo what Justin has said, it works. I've seen it work for other companies, and to take it and to personalize it for yourself, definitely go for it. There's data, there's just so much behind data, right? And you get an idea to see who's interested in what you're doing, get some segmentation, better targeting. And then when it comes to you putting yourself out there and wanting to probably be on the speaking circuit or have people come to you and inquire about your skills and your services, you're already in their feed, whether it's on Twitter or LinkedIn. So Justin, I will be following your tips. So we'll see what happens.
I just wanted to just also point out, because I've seen people talk about it in the chat, I use a scheduling tool called a Calendly. And it's cool and all that you could just go there and just like book me. But going back to like how data is king, if you're on my Calendly, that also has my Facebook pixel. So anybody that ever comes and books time with me, I'm also scraping your data. But then the cool thing is I also tie it back to my MailChimp. So like an example, when like a MinTech reached out to me, they got on my Calendly. At that point of contact, I scraped your cookies. And then I also added you to my newsletter too. So then now when I go into my MailChimp audience, I'm able to like target you and actually get you on my newsletter each and every time. That's how you then retarget that in engagement over and over again. So own
Did
your
you get them
data.
to opt into that newsletter?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, so I have what's called a double opt-in. So you have to
Okay.
opt in. Mhm.
Holly,
You're
you're
on mute,
Holly, you're on
Holly.
mute.
Y'all, I swear I am pressing this unmute button and it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left and I want to have some time for some questions from the attendees. But very quickly, I do want to ask each of you what advice you would give to those who want to move into the tech industry or are currently looking for a new tech role. So we've got HR professionals here, we've got those who are well versed on social media and branding and marketing yourself. So what would be the advice that you would give to those wanting to move into tech? They see that it's growing and they want to get on the train as well. They want to use their skills in the tech industry. So let's do, if we can narrow it down to one piece of advice from each of you, we'll see how that goes. So Justin, let's start with you and then I'm gonna go ahead and move up my screen.
On the spot. Okay, great. So I think the one thing you need to know is that this thing is hard. People like to discount that it's going to be easy, that you just learn a couple of things here and there, but just understand that getting into tech is hard because it's in constantly changing a field. A good example of that is we just seen the Apple trade show yesterday. And anytime that there's a new trade show, like when Microsoft dropped that whole folding phone, my heart dropped because I was like, crap. Now I gotta like learn how to account for this UX. I gotta learn how to make this app that could actually fold over on this screen, and it's all a brand new tech. So people don't think about how hard it's going to be, and it's going to be an uphill battle. But the great thing is once you get it, it's truly magical, and it's an easy thing after that. But the actual getting in and understanding everything is hard.
Okay, Erica, what about you? One piece of advice for those wanting to move into the tech industry.
I'm going to add to what Justin said. Even though it's hard, don't give up. There are going to people that the people are going to outright tell you no. When you encounter people who don't look like you, they can be rude, but that's your time to show, okay, you say no, but let me show you what can happen, right? So you have to have thick skin and you cannot give up, and let all of those no's be your motivator. If it's hard, keep working, because eventually it's going to click. It's going to click, and then you move to the next thing. I know you said one thing, I'm going to add one. Don't stop learning. That's it. I'm going to stop there.
Okay, Shayna, what about you as our resident expert of HR and, getting into the tech industry? What advice would you give for our attendees?
So I'd echo what Eric and Justin stated previously. Definitely don't take no for an answer. Be confident. Even when one door closes, there will be 5 more doors that open. So you just keep knocking them down and be confident in yourself and your skills. And I think so often when we hear the word no, we internalize that and then we take a step back and we start to question our ability. But we've got to be confident in our ability. And just staying on top of all of the new trends within tech, as Erica mentioned, continuous learning is key. The tech industry is changing so fast and so rapidly, and staying on top of what are those new skills that are needed, because it changes every single day. Those would be pieces of advice. But then also I would just say connecting with those in the industry. And connecting to figure out and determine if it's entrepreneurship maybe that you're considering, or even if it's going into a company, trying to make sure that you're identifying what's important to you and making sure that that's aligned. And irregardless of industry, I think that's key for any person that's wanting to consider a role in tech, and making sure that there's alignment to your beliefs and your thoughts and what you believe a company should be representing. So that would be the other piece of advice that I would give as well.
Thank you so much, Shayna. Okay, what about you, Renee? What is your advice for those wanting to go into tech?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice is to own your journey. So, kind of echoing what Shanna said, but own your journey. I think when people hear the word tech, they automatically think engineers or things like that. But tech is a big term. So, there are tech companies and there's different roles within tech. So, if you're in finance, if you're a lawyer, if you're in customer service, if you're in like all these different things that are part of tech. So I've seen a lot of people just say, okay, I've got to like learn this thing over here and I've got to learn this thing, but own your skills, see where, like Shanna said, like where they align. And if you want to become part of a tech company, you may already have the skill sets to make that pivot into a specific company rather than trying to just learn a new field or master a new craft. So it's really important to own your own journey. One of the main things I tell people is, I'm consider myself a UX Voltron. I take the skills that I've learned as someone who came from sales, customer success, project management, and that's what makes me unique in my space. That no one else has the journey that I had. So that is my superpower, in that no one else did those things. So owning your journey and making yourself, that's understanding your differentiator, it makes you a standout within the industry.
I totally agree with that. Like, technology is, the tech industry is not going away. It is expanding, it is getting bigger, and every industry is starting to utilize technology more. So like you said, if you are in the hospitality industry, tech is coming. You probably see it. It's creeping in there. You're starting to see a little bit more data come in. You're starting to see a little bit more engineering come in. This is a chance to take those skills you already have and turn them into something that can become beneficial as technology becomes, more and more prevalent in your industry. I think that I know I'm the moderator, but I would say that my advice for someone wanting to get into tech is whatever you're thinking of doing, go ahead and do it. Do it now. Don't wait, because again, tech is moving so fast, and the tech industry that we have now is not the tech industry that we're going to have in 5 years or in 10 years. So you want to put yourself out there, start learning your skills now, start revamping that resume, and start brainstorming how you can get into the industry now, because in 5 years, it's still moving. You want to get on the train now, so in 5 years you can be 5 years further. Do not wait. Don't sit around and say, well, I don't have my degree and I don't have this and I don't have that. Just do it. Just go, just do it. If we have any questions from attendees, I'm checking the chat. I don't see any, but for our attendees, if you would like to, please put your contact information in the chat in case, if you are open to people contacting you and asking you questions or whatever. For our attendees, please remember that this is a weekly series. So week 3 will be happening next Wednesday. You can register for that the same way that you registered for this one. MinTech would love to see you at the next panel. And does anyone have any final thoughts? Anything else? Thank you all so much for contributing. I think that all of the information was very helpful. No? All right, thank you so much. Does Ashley from MinTech, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I thought everything was really good. And thank you guys so much. Sorry, hello. Thank you guys so much for being a part. This was amazing. You guys were really dropping some knowledge. Justin was way too real, so I appreciate all of that. That was good. And thank you to Renee, Erica, Shayna, and Holly. Thank you so much for moderating. And yes, please make sure to check us out on next Wednesday. We're doing this all in the month of September. Next Wednesday, we will have our noon talk around tech entrepreneurship. We have some amazing entrepreneurs that are growing $1 million brands and thriving and doing it all for the culture. And so definitely make sure to register. And we look forward to seeing you then. I wish you guys a great rest of your Wednesday. Thank y'all so much.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.